Monogamy used to be one person for life. Today, monogamy is one person at a time. Marriage used to be for life till death do us apart, and today it pretty much is till love dies. And we no longer just divorce because we are unhappy, but we can divorce because we could be happier. Infidelity used to be primarily an economic threat. Today it becomes a crisis of identity and the shattering of the grand ambition of love. And all those are fundamental changes in the realm of our relationships and our pursuits of what it takes to have a thriving relationship. It's the first time that the preservation or the survival of the family depends pretty much entirely on the quality of the connection between the couple. This relationship issue, this relationship world that we are living in, is experiencing expectations that are at an all-time high. We would like to find ways to have our relationships be more thriving, more meaningful, more satisfying, more fulfilling, because we probably can agree that ultimately it is the quality of our relationships that determines the quality of our lives. Love and desire, they relate and they also conflict. And herein lies the mystery of eroticism. Relationships are pretty much rapidly changing, and the expectations that we bring to our relationships are at an all-time high. What's interesting for me about the couple is that it is probably the unit that has transformed the most in a very short amount of time. Forever, when we lived in the small villages and in the communities, we basically lived communally, and we knew who we were and who our identity was, and we knew where we belonged, and we knew what was expected of us, and we had plenty of certainty and very little freedom. And we moved to the cities, and as we arrived into the cities, we got to be a lot more free and also a lot more alone. And as we became a lot more alone, we didn't have that many people around us all the time, and the relationship, the romantic relationship, became the harbor where we were going to vest many of our most important human needs. And now I was going to cultivate with you a unit, a connection, an intensity, a meaning that I could not necessarily get from my whole village. And in this connection, I was going to be able to transcend my existential aloneness. And in this new life that we began to have, we had a lot more options. We still have a lot more options, a lot more freedom, and a lot more uncertainty, and a lot more self-doubt. And all those things that used to be clear about who is in charge, and about who takes care of the children, and who takes care of the cows, and who gets to deal with the money, and who gets to demand for sex, and all of those things, everything today is one big freaking negotiation. It's enormously freeing, and it's also very tiresome, because it makes for a lot of arguments in which people think that they're right when in fact they have no clue, because there is no right, because it's the first time that we even have the freedom to negotiate any of it. So who has an answer? And then a number of major other shifts have taken place in a very short amount of time. Sex, for most of history, when it came to committed relationships, was primarily for reproduction. And it was primarily a woman's marital duty. And duty got replaced with desire. And desire became an owning of the wanting. Desire became an expression of a sovereign self. And all of that could only happen with one of the greatest revolutions called the democratization of contraception, which allowed women to go to work, and which allowed us for the first time to separate sex from reproduction. And not only did the meaning of sex change, but the whole meaning of committed relationship, or what traditionally has been marriage, which was primarily an economic institution. We have transformed it into a romantic arrangement. We brought love into marriage. We brought sex to love. We brought the connection between sexual satisfaction and marital happiness. All these units that have never really been connected like that. And we also brought happiness down from the heavens. It used to be for the afterlife. Now we actually think that we deserve to be happy. in our long-term relationships, and the long-term keeps getting longer. Everything that I wanted in traditional relationship, I wanted commitment and family life and social status and economic support, but I also want you to be my best friend and my trusted confidant. And for the first time, we want to reconcile in our relationships two fundamental sets of human needs: our need for security and our need for adventure, our need for stability and our need for change, our need for all the anchoring experiences of our life, the reliability, the predictability, the roots. But also I want with the same person to have novelty and surprise and mystery and danger and risk and unknown and discovery and exploration. And we really think that this stuff can be solved with Victoria's Secret. We've never tried to really experience these two fundamental sets of human needs, which really spring from different sources and pull us in different directions, and try to reconcile them into one relationship. Which is why I always ask myself, why does good sex so often fade, even in couples who continue to love each other as much as ever? And why does good intimacy not guarantee good sex? And why is the forbidden so erotic? And can we want what we already have? Which is probably the most fundamental question around desire. And when you love, how do you feel? And when you desire, how is it different? Because when we love, we want to know the partner. We want to be known. We want to minimize the distance. We want to close the gap. We want to neutralize the tension. But when we desire, we often want a bridge and somebody that we can go visit on the other side. I am most drawn to my partner when I see him or her in his or her element. Passionate about something they do, competent at what they're doing something that they really like. Basically, in a state of self-sufficiency where they are wrapped into themselves, and I can look at this person who is otherwise already so familiar and so known, and look at them once again as somewhat elusive and somewhat mysterious, and with still something to discover about them. And that curiosity that lives in that space between me and the other, that is the erotic. And everyone gets that distinction, that there is a certain kind of unknown tension that we need to be able to cultivate in our midst. But we don't like the idea, because we also want to feel that we are in very known and safe territory. For some of us, having the unknown next to us is really an opportunity for more discovery and more exploration. And for some of us, it makes us intensely anxious. And each of us, by the way, on this continuum between security and adventure, come out of our childhood with one of two stronger needs. Some of us will have a greater need for security and for protection and for grounding and for predictability, because we grew up in chaotic, unpredictable environments, and we never knew what to expect. And some of us will come out of our childhood and want more space and more freedom and more time alone. And the beauty of coupling is that we tend to find somebody else who inhabits the part of us that we would like more of, but would just as well leave to the other to take care of. I will find a person who has the other side because I'm drawn to it. But since you do it so much better than me, keep on doing. That way I can pretend I want different and continue to be the same. Monogamy used to be one person for life. Today, monogamy is one person at a time. And people go around telling you that they are monogamous in all their relationships, plural. People used to marry and they had sex for the first time, and today people marry and they stop having sex with others. Today, monogamy is a conviction, and it is an expression of it is really the sacred cow of the romantic ideal. But exclusivity means something very different when you meet somebody and it's your first partner in life versus when you meet somebody and you're finally going to delete your apps and all the other. The 1,000 people that could give you a real case of FOMO. Marriage used to be for life till death do us apart, and today it pretty much is till love dies. And we no longer just divorce because we are unhappy, but we can divorce because we could be happier. And all those are fundamental changes in the realm of our relationships and our pursuits of what it takes to have a thriving relationship. We used to be unfaithful because relationships or marriages were not meant to bring us passion and love and affection and connection. Today, we stray because our relationships have failed to deliver the passion and the love and the affection that they promised. Infidelity used to be primarily an economic threat. Today, it becomes a crisis of identity and the shattering of the grand ambition of love.